Hello everyone! I hope that you're doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha and I welcome you to my channel. As always, I'm so grateful that you're listening, subscribing, and commenting. I really appreciate the support. In this one, I am doing this video specifically for women. So if you are a man, you can listen if you want. It's something interesting that you can share with the females in your life. But this video is particularly for the hormonal or the menstrual cycle that women have, that women go through until their menopause. And a couple of books that I've read on the subject that have absolutely boggled my mind. They completely changed my perspective on the female hormonal cycle and how I never ever, before I read these books, learned to live according to my hormonal cycle or according to my menstrual cycle. And I always used to think of it as an inconvenience, and I hated my period. I mean, from the time I was 13, I think I got my first one. I absolutely despised them. I used to think of them as a complete waste of time. I wish that I was a boy many times so that I wouldn't have to go through this menstruation craziness. I used to PMS and all of that stuff, and I used to despise the whole thing. Never was taught as a person, as a female, to learn why I went through the system. Now, knowing that I never wanted children, I was like, well, this is a complete waste. Why do I even have to go through this? I don't want children. Because I didn't want children from when I was a very young child, or at least when I was like definitely 13 or 14. But even then, if someone had just explained to me, if someone had just sat down with me and said, okay, that's not the only reason you go through these cycles. There's a very important reason why you go through these hormonal cycles, these menstrual cycles. It's for your health, it's for your uterine health, it's for your immune system. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background that you're not aware of. Let me sit down and explain it to you. If this book had been presented to me when I was 13 or 14, I can't imagine actually, how different my life would be or would have been if I had had this knowledge in my pocket. So of course, I want to share these two books with you, and I really hope that you will sit down and read these books and really inculcate the knowledge that's in these books and use it to enhance your opinion of your cycle, obviously, but also to start working along with your cycle rather than against it. For some reason, as women, we have been taught to hate or despise or negate our bodies. Of course, there's a lot of reasons for it, but particularly it always has to do with the fact that we go through these cycles and we go through these periods where we have mood swings and we have hormonal switches and we have this 4 or 5 day period or 7 day period where we do bleed, and it can sometimes be an inconvenience or an annoyance. And there's many reasons why this myth has been perpetuated that women should hate their bodies and should treat their bodies with a sort of abhorrence or sort of distance. We're always like distancing ourselves from our bodies or trying to run away from our bodies, rather than being like, all right, this is my body. I am a female. Like, there's nothing I can do about it unless I do a sex change operation, which it doesn't seem feasible. So why not just learn to live with the body that I've been given and kind of learn its cycles and go along with them rather than going against them or even avoiding it completely, which is how I usually dealt with it. So the two books are The Woman Code by Alyssa Vitti. So I'm going to put them into the description below, so I'll link them over so you can get them there. And the second book is Balance Your Hormones, Balance Your Life by Claudia Welsh. All right, so those two books, obviously, I recommend greatly. There's a third book that I'm going to do another video on because it's a different kind of topic, but very much related to being a female and emotional eating. So I would definitely share that one as well, but in a second video, so stay tuned for that. But these two books, now again, as I said, I literally sat down and I read these books as quickly as I could because I just wanted to gather all this information. I couldn't believe that I'd been missing all this information all my life. Again, as I said, if I'd just been given this information when I was 13 or 14 or even 20 or 21, that's years and years of not living with my cycle and not running with it and not going along with it that I'm missing out on, that I wish I hadn't. But in general, I'm hoping that a lot of you will take advantage of the fact, especially if you're younger, to really learn to live along with your cycle rather than against it. Now, one of the few things that I really learned from the book that I hadn't known before, of course, was the different phases that your body goes through when your body's going through the different cycles. So there's different, as I said, phases. So there's the follicular phase, the ovulatory phase, the luteal phase, and then the menstrual phase. Now, in itself, it doesn't matter that much. I don't really care that much about the phases itself, unless or until I think about the fact, or that she mentions, that each phase has its own paradigms, its own rules associated with it. Each phase has a particular way that we should be dealing with it. And a lot of us, what we do is that we go against it. So for example, in the luteal phase, it's a time for nesting, it's a time for rest, it's a time for self-reflection, it's a time for slowing down, it's a time for taking all of those crazy social appointments out of your calendar and being at home, reorganizing your closet, things like that. But of course, as an ambitious woman in this go, go, go world, what we do is that we don't listen to our bodies. Our bodies might be telling us things like, I'm tired, or I want to rest, or I really need a nap instead of working. And instead of listening to our bodies, we're like, well, I've heard this story before, I'm just being lazy, or I'm just being a whiny baby, I just need to push through this and I need to just hustle. Hate that word, by the way. So I just need to hustle and I just need to keep on going because I want to be a success in this world. So instead of going along with our cycle and actually being like, all right, I can still be a success in this world, but I don't have to push my body in ways that it doesn't like being pushed. And instead of going along with our cycles, we just like push, and we keep on pushing through our luteal phase, pushing through our menstrual phase, not really taking advantage of the cycles that has been provided to us by nature. Mother Nature did all of this for us already. She's done the work. She's told you how your cycle goes, and she's told you how you'd feel in all of these cycles, and it's pretty much the same for all women, very, very few exceptions. And so you know that when you're menstruating, you're going to feel a certain way. You know when you're going through an ovulatory phase, then you're going to go feel a certain way. And so instead of fighting against it, you could actually learn to live along with it, and it would completely transform the way that you live your life. And for me, as I said, I read the books, and then I obviously started applying it right away as much as I could, and I noticed a complete shift in the way I looked at my body. In general, there's a lot more love that has been perpetuated within me for my body and for my cycle. Instead of hating my menstruation and menstrual cycle, I am really excited to notice all the different changes that are happening because of it, because of the hormonal changes, and the changes because of the fact that I'm actually taking care of my body and listening to my body and listening to my cycle rather than going against it. So it's kind of like a game that I'm playing with it now, and that's actually something that I'm really enjoying, actually, and I'm not afraid of it anymore. I'm not afraid of the hormonal changes or my menstrual cycle, because it's not something to be worried about or something to run away from or something to avoid, but something to go along with, something to use as a tool of transformation rather than something to run away from. The other thing that she mentions, Elizabeth T, that I really liked is that she talks about the different foods that you can eat in each of these phases in order to balance out your hormones and in order to make sure that you're giving your body the nutrients it needs in order to do the work that it needs to do. And that in itself was a major switch for me, because I didn't realize that according to the different hormones that are created in the body, your body needs different nutrients. So for example, you need a lot more B vitamins when you're in your ovulatory phase, because there's certain hormones that are being created and they need B vitamins. So you need to eat avocado or things like that. So I have a chart, and she's given a chart in the book that I kind of carry around with me everywhere. And I'm always in my mind thinking, okay, which phase I'm in right now and what should I be eating? And so whenever I'm putting something in my body, I'll just look at look at the chart quickly and the phase that I'm in, and I'm like, all right, what should I be eating? Walnuts. Okay, cool. I have walnuts here. Let me put a couple in my mouth, kind of thing, right? And so a completely different way of putting food into my body and sustaining myself. Normally, obviously, I would just kind of go along with my cravings, eat whatever I wanted to eat, and really think about it too much. But now there's a little bit of a system to it, a little bit of strategy to it, a little bit of more forethought, which really I think is useful, because now I'm actually feeding my body what it needs rather than just feeding it whatever, right? And so I've noticed a major change in my body and the way it looks. Noticed that my PMS symptoms have gone down as well, because again, I'm taking care of my body, making sure that the estrogen is flushed out in the luteal phase rather than storing up in my body and causing me strife, things like that, right? The other thing that Elizabeth talks a lot about is the 4 things that she focuses on, or the 5 things. The first 3 things that she says were very important is making sure that you balance your blood sugar levels. And she talks a lot about that. Also, she talks a lot about the adrenal glands, which was a big thing for me. That's one of the reasons why I started reading about this, was because I noticed that my adrenal glands were not in phase. They were not in sync with the rest of my body, and I was noticing that had a lot of insomnia, which was being attributed to the adrenals. And so I had to obviously look into that. And then she also obviously talks about the food that you must be eating in order to balance your blood sugar and to take care of your adrenals, and a lot more than that. So she has a 5-phase system. It's called flow living. And of course, you don't actually have to follow all the 5 phases if you don't want to. But for me particularly, every phase that I looked into and started applying into my life has been very, very useful indeed. In terms of the Balance Your Hormones and Balance Your Life book by Claudia Welsh, one of the main things that I got from the book was about the balance of yin and yang. And it's a great book as well, and I do recommend you read it. But for me, the main thing that I got from it was the fact that I have a lot of yang in my life. A lot of the different things I do are very much like based on ambition, on hustle, on working hard, not giving myself any time, any rest, not giving myself enough fresh air, not giving myself enough anything really, anything yin. And I'm noticing that now I'll start thinking about this more and more during the day. So if I've been working all morning, I will go take a walk outside in the fresh air and give myself some time to relax and chill out, because I want to give myself that yin balance. A lot of times she also speaks a lot about Abhyanga, which is the coconut oil massage that I've spoken about in previous videos. Go check those videos out about it as well. But that's a very yin thing you can do to balance yourself out as well. Now, this video is already very long. There's a lot more I can say on the subject, and if you want me to keep on going on the subject matter, I can. But more than that, I do recommend you go read the books, because they are a fountain of knowledge. What I've said in these videos is going to be incomparable to actually reading the books. If you are a female and you have a cycle, or if you know anyone who has a cycle, please do recommend these books to them. I'm not getting paid by the authors to say this. The books are actually that good, and they're transformational if you allow them to be. So I really do recommend that you go check these books out. If you can check them out from the library, do so. If you can grab them from Amazon, do so. Just get them and read them, especially the Woman Code book by Alyssa Vitti. So I'm going to link those 2 books down into the description. Hopefully you'll check them out. And let me know if you have read the books, or if you've looked into this kind of stuff already. I'd love to hear from you, what your insights are, or if you have any insights to share with us. Again, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate the support. I'm so grateful, and I shall see you guys the next time around. Bye for now.